I love that we're doing a fireside chat with your digital fireplace going on behind you.
I know, it's great. You get an Amazon Fire Stick and you make fire.
That works. Here,
Yeah,
let me make the lights a little better on me. There we go. All right.
sounds good. Sounds good. Well, anyways, man, thank you so much for being here. How's everything on your side?
Yeah, it's going great, and no problem with me being here. Here's the thing about doing podcasts right now is that if someone says they don't have time for your podcast, they're lying. Everyone, if someone doesn't want to do your podcast, it's just because they don't like you. That's pretty much it, because we all have time. I'm currently in Houston, Texas, doing some shows, and I'm just in my hotel room all day. There are definitely people walking around, being out and about, but I'm not ready to do that yet. So I'll be here, and then when I go out, I'll use the ninja mask. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's what life is right now.
exactly. Like kind of going back to the shows now is quite a weird experience for you guys.
It's interesting. It like because all the clubs are doing either a third capacity or half capacity. People are spaced out. Some people are wearing masks, and yeah, it's different. But at the same time, I don't want to be one of those guys like, man, don't wear a mask to my show. I want to see your face laughing. It's like, all right, that's basically saying like, hey, my ego is more important than your life. So you know what I mean? So yeah, if you want to wear a mask to my show, that's fine, as long as you're comfortable and you're going out, and it's different, but at the same time, everything's different right now. There's a lot of people out there that are like, man, this has got to be. I'm not going back until I can have a packed house, no masks. And I'm like, okay, that's great for you. Some of us don't have millions of dollars in the bank and have to go out there and work. And like about 5 years ago, I was doing shows for this size of audience. So it's not like it's not like I've never seen this size crowd before. We all have as
Absolutely.
comics. We all have gone up and had those times where the Friday night late show is real light, you know. So I'm fine with doing a show in front of a lighter audience. It makes those fans, you know, those fans came out. They want to have a good time. It's my job to entertain them, and we'll get back to normal at some point. But until then, if this is what I have to do to earn a living, and I feel very lucky because there's a lot of people that are either out of a job or if they're in the world of entertainment cannot do their job. And so I'm feeling very lucky that I'm able to come back and do what kind of resembles my job.
Absolutely. I can't wait for the comedy clubs to actually come back in South Africa. Yeah, so I mean, it's a weird experience also seeing a lot of like these Zoom shows play out. Have you seen like some of these Zoom shows?
Oh, I've done them. I've done about 5 Zoom shows, and I described it as if stand-up comedy is heroin, Zoom shows is the methadone, where it's like it's not what you want, it's not the thing you crave, but it's just enough to get you by.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, it's awkward, it's weird, it's not my preference, but like I said, it's what's available right now. And as we start to open back up here in the United States, there are still some people that should not go out because they're immune compromised or they're elderly, so they're staying in, and they should have entertainment too. They should be able to see a stand-up comedy show. So I did some Zoom shows, and they're definitely different. People don't realize the whole microphone situation where if you are in your house watching my show and you talk and your mic is on, it comes over just as loud to everyone else as me talking. It's not like a comedy club where you can be like, that's so true, and I won't hear it. If you say, that's so true, everyone just heard you say that. So
yeah.
there's been a couple of awkward moments during my shows. There was one time where I was doing a joke, it got a laugh, and then in the pause right before I started talking again, you heard a woman clear as a bell just say like, well, I can't see him, and if I can't see him, he's not funny. Like,
But also, I watched one of these Zoom shows. Well, actually, I did one of them, but like one of these open mic ones. And there was some guy in the middle of his set. He goes, "Shut the fuck up, Sharon!" And then like he literally gets into this fight with his wife. puts the thing on mute, and we're watching this whole thing play out, and we're just like, what the hell is going on?
Oh, that is beautiful. Oh, that is great. Yeah, you have to worry about that. I've been interrupted by my dog during a show where I've got a 72-pound pit bull. I'm not sure what that is in kilos, but that's a big dog. So
big
yeah,
dog.
when he wants to interrupt, there's no stopping him. He just runs over and he wants to play with me. So he jumped on me during a show. It was hilarious.
Is that like the new heckler? It's like the new heckler if you think about it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the new normal that you have to kind of deal with for a little bit. And it's also fun. It's because we're all doing the same thing. It's not like the Zoom comic is experiencing things that are different than normal people. We're all like indoors and in our homes and trying to make this work and seeing what our new normal is. So we're all kind of going through it together. Now, before I proceed, I did absolutely no research on you. So I'm just trying to make sure this isn't like you're not going to talk to me and then go, and now for our next segment, why the Jews are a problem. You know what I mean? Like you're not like
No.
Okay,
No,
it's not like some
you don't have to worry. This isn't like an Ann Coulter type show. Like you're good.
Good.
Yeah.
And then you said you're in South Africa.
Yeah, I'm from South Africa.
Great. I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
What's with the water situation? Because you guys were like zero water for you're like, no, we're just gonna run out. We're just gonna run out of water, and now everyone's forced to stay home. And it's like, so are you guys doing okay? Do you have water? What's happening?
So I'll explain a little bit of the South African situation to you. So that was actually in Cape Town. We kind of in a drought, but it's not as bad. So I'm from Johannesburg, and I mean we've been in our houses now since like March, which is pretty crazy. So we've been like in a proper lockdown where the army's been in the streets and they're ensuring that people like don't go out and everything. It's the real deal.
Well, yeah, one thing I know about South Africa, I don't know a lot, but when the army wants you to do something, they're pretty forceful at it, and they can make you do it. I won't say any particular topics because I know it's a sensitive issue, but yeah, they can pretty much impose their will on people. So I understand that, but yeah, so the whole water thing. So you guys aren't experiencing that, or that's just Cape Town, or?
No. I think that we've actually kind of passed that. But, we also have like a lot of electricity problems in South Africa. So we've got like a monopoly company that kind of controls all the electricity in South Africa. And we keep on having power outages occasionally. So they'll just like shut off our power.
Go to sleep. Like just everyone.
Exactly.
I mean, you don't want your power to shut off. Then what would you do for fire? You wouldn't have a nice fireplace to stare at. So.
Exactly. How would you even start a fire without an Amazon Fire Stick? I mean, that's its whole purpose.
Now, and then, are you a stand-up comic in South Africa?
I'm not. I tried doing stand-up when I was in 9th grade, and I bombed really bad. And then I kind of like stopped it for a little bit, and then I started like connecting with people in the industry again, and that's when I went to actually go do the Zoom show. So I started speaking to a writer for the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and I kind of ran some jokes past him, and then I just started kind of like weaving my way into this, and then I think I'm gonna go back out there and try it again.
Good, yeah, because I mean, if you bomb when you're in 9th grade, of course you bombed when you're in 9th grade. What's your topic? Hey man, pimples, they suck. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's you haven't lived a life yet to be able to talk about it in terms of relating to your common stand-up comedy audience. So we're happy to have you back. I know that certainly in the last few years that South Africa has actually had kind of a vibrant stand-up comedy scene. I know there's been there's a comedy festival down there, and I've heard some very funny comedians coming out of South Africa. So I look forward to when all this is over, hopefully making it down there. I know like Bill Burr has been down there to South Africa and a few other American comics. So you guys are definitely consuming it. So thank you.
Absolutely. And I mean, it would be such a pleasure to have you down here because I mean, you're a great comic.
Thank you. I'd love it. I'd love to go down there. That's the thing that like I don't mind doing the shows for like the smaller audiences right now that we're slowly opening up. I don't mind people wearing the masks. I don't even mind getting paid a little less because there's less people in the audience. What I mind is I'm in great cities where everything's kind of closed down and I can't do the things that, because one of the best parts about this job is you get to travel and you get to see the countries, and you get to, like I've been to all 50 states in the United
Wow.
States, and 14, done stand up in 14 countries. So like I've seen some stuff. So when people say like, oh man, those people down there in Alabama, I go, oh yeah, I've been to Alabama. I could tell you about it. Like, or I've experienced that. So that's the biggest bummer is not being able to experience the city and experience the culture and experience whatever it is from that area that you're in. And that's one of the reasons why I would love to go to South Africa, is just because I've heard so much about it. It's the trickiest accent I've ever heard.
I know.
I can't do it. I don't know. Like British, I know what that is. Australian, I know what that is. South African,
Stuck in the middle. It's stuck in the middle.
Yeah, it's some blend. I don't know. Did Leonardo DiCaprio do it justice in Blood Diamond, or did the locals look at that like, wow, that was shit?
It was okay. I mean, do you guys understand Trevor Noah's accent?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I can understand it, and I can understand you. I just can't replicate it. I don't know what the thing is. Like, I haven't figured it out yet. Like, but yeah, Trevor, it's amazing. There's this trend in the United States right now of people whose heritage is not from the United States having comedy news shows telling us what's wrong in our country. And I love it. I think it's great. You know, whether it be Trevor Noah or John Oliver or Hassan Minaj or something like that. Obviously, Hassan Minaj, born and raised in, I think, Sacramento, California, but you know, heritage not from the United States. I love it. I love the fact that people are coming here from other countries, going, you know, this is not how it is everywhere else, right? Like, you could not do it this way, because I mean, I've been the ugly American, and I've gone to other countries where I've looked around and been like, do they not know that people don't do it this way anymore? Like, or, you know, and that's one of the best parts, like I said, about traveling, is you get to experience all this stuff, and you get to see how different people live and what is normal. I remember I did some stand-up in the Middle East one time, and
wow, that's insane.
Yeah, there was on one of our flights, there was a man who stood up and started yelling very angrily at one of the female flight attendants, and a female comic that I was with was like, I'm gonna go talk to that guy, and I just grabbed her. It was like, oh, you don't do that. Like, she thought, as this funky Italian from Chicago, that she was gonna be the one that came in and like, I'm gonna solve all the gender issues in the Middle East. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, just like stay back with that one.
Yeah, I'd like to go home, you know, at some point. So yeah, but yeah, you experience different things. Now, before the lockdown, were there comedy clubs in South Africa?
Yeah, we've got like 3 comedy clubs in South Africa. I mean, like Trevor Noah actually used to perform like up the road over here. That's where he kind of like started off. He started off at a place called the Blues Room, which is now closed. But we've got a very famous comedy club kind of like down that way called Parker's Comedy Club. And we produce really great comics in South Africa, like really, really talented guys.
I love it. Well, comedy comes from struggle, and South Africa has been a place of struggle, and I mean, struggle for some, immense wealth for others. And so, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that some fantastic comedians have come from South Africa, because they've been able to observe so many things, and comedians it's our job in a certain way is to stop and be like, whoa, why that? What's going on there? So it doesn't surprise me that there's some great South African comics out there.
Absolutely, and kind of back to your whole point with the thing of not understanding the South African accent. So I actually lived in the US for a little, well, not like lived in the US, but I was there for like 6 months, and then I was there for like another 3 months for a little bit of a break in between. And you know, going to like Dunkin' Donuts and things, it is so difficult to order because they either go, "Oh, you're Australian," "Oh, you're from the UK," so it's just like this balancing act.
Yeah, we're very, and we're seeing that right now with all the unrest in the United States, where Americans like to see a person, hear one word or one sentence or one thing, go, "Oh, I know all about you," and just say everything that they know, or that be the most horrible, wrong, and then even if like I'm sure you got this where they went like, "Oh, oi, mate, you're Australian," and then you're like, "No, I'm actually South African." They're like, "Close." It's like, no, not at all. Not at, not at,
So actually,
not,
I did an interview with Mark Norman, and at the bottom of the YouTube comments, it said, "Aussie, Aussie, Aussie, oi, oi, oi." I noticed that Victoria accent from anywhere. I'm like, you got it, you got it.
yeah, yeah, Victoria. I love it. People are so fast to just be like, "Oh, I know everything about like it," and it's just our references. It's like, so you hear South Africa, and for me as an American, I go, "Okay, apartheid, rugby, like
Matt Damon, Invictus.
yeah, Matt Damon with very broad shoulders. That's like." That's all like this Rolodex of references comes to my head, and I have to be careful to not just be like, "Oh, okay, you're this thing," because not necessarily. I mean, I can only imagine what people from different parts of the world think when I tell them I'm an American, when they just go, "Okay," like, "Oh, American, hot dogs, hamburgers, racist." Whoa, whoa! Like, no, that's not. No, it's not what we all are. There's definitely some, but not. That's not what we are. So I can imagine that there's some frustration there.
Like personally, I don't get offended. Like for me, like literally, like nothing's off limits. Like, yeah.
Good. No, it's and that's a good quality to have. Is your life is not going to turn out exactly the way you want it to all the time. There's going to be people that say stupid things. There's going to be people that that insult you, whether it be on purpose or not. And you have to remember, like, hey, they're just trying to live their lives too. And if you take your time just getting mad about every little thing that is said about you or about your people or your culture, whatever, you'll go insane. You'll go insane. There's you want to teach people and educate people, but at the same time, if I got mad at every person who online called me a fucking midget or something like that, it would just be all day. Just, all right, I gotta settle this guy's
You
ass.
gotta respond this way. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my entire day, is just talking to people that insulted me. So go right ahead. I don't care.
Absolutely. So I also actually just wanted to wish you a mazel tov on having the baby. It's not too late to say mazel tov for that.
Not at all. Not at all. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm a brand new father. I got a 5-month-old baby, and we talk about different cultures and knowing things. My wife is Chinese, so we have we have an Asian dwarf baby, and it's great. Like, I'm learning so many things about how, like, expectations for how she's going to be raised with Chinese being part of her culture, and how she's going to be raised as I was raised, being a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant from Orange County, California. So it's very interesting. And yes, for anyone curious, my daughter does have dwarfism. So, because I'm a dwarf little person, I don't know if your people watch this or if they listen to it. But yeah, so that's interesting. Like, we didn't have a gender reveal party because no one really gave a crap about the gender. We had to have like a dwarfism reveal party where we just like where we just had a cake and you cut it, and then inside the cake was a much smaller cake, and that just made you go, oh, okay, it's gonna be a little
brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Did you guys like clash with the name, or did you guys like immediately come to a name together?
We definitely clashed. I don't like to say the name publicly because then I get some, like, I don't mind if you insult me. I don't care. It's water off my back, whatever. I don't care. But like if you insult my daughter and my daughter's name, like then I'll be like, well, I got to get online and I got to talk to this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I like very traditional names, or as my wife would call them, boring names. And then my wife likes very strange names, very weird names. Like she wanted to name my daughter Persephone, and I was like, oh, Stephanie, and she's like, no, Persephone, and I'm like, well, that's a horrible idea.
It's the combination of like two names together.
Yeah, I think it's either a Greek goddess or a Roman goddess or something like that. So I thought, great, but then she's correcting people her entire life. Let's not do that. And then she looked on, I'll say this without saying the actual name. She looked on my wall. My wife looked at my wall, and I have a signed jersey from one of my favorite players of all time. And she said the name of the player, and I go, oh, yeah, that kind of makes sense. And it's my favorite player, and it works. So yeah, that's how we arrived at the name. It's a lot of pressure because literally whatever you say, there's so many things about naming your child that you don't think about, and you don't you like, you have to think when you're picking your kid's name. All right, what does this rhyme with? Because they can say like like I'm trying to think of an example, but like, because they can make fun of them if it rhymes with something, or if like, who's famous that also has this name, and then are they good, are they bad, is there someone like, because you imagine there's someone out there who is like, yeah, I named my son after my favorite comedian, this is my son
Cosby.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, that's bad. Like at the time, great, and now horrible. So like there's stuff like that. Like there's all those babies out there that were named ISIS and grew up with the name ISIS, and then a terrorist organization becomes a thing. There's people that named
even
their
like
daughters.
Maybe like Jeffrey Epstein. I want my kid to be a successful businessman, and then a couple of years on, oh God, I'm gonna change that.
Yeah, like I heard there was a lot of people that named their daughters Daenerys after Game of Thrones, and spoiler alert, that doesn't end well. So, like you have to be very careful when you're naming your child about, okay, how could they be made fun of? What's the name mean? Does the name sound good? And then you have someone like Elon Musk that goes, oh no, my kid's name is going to be A-E12, and you're just like, that's a name? That's okay.
Yeah. Just go with
You're a billionaire. Do whatever you want to do. It's fine.
Yeah. So I mean, like hypothetically, like if you had to just like name your kid just for like maybe the first part of their life, maybe like the first 6 years, what would you name it?
Oh man, first 6 years of like the kid's life?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Like, yeah, just before they go to school. So like before they get fun of, and like before.
Like lots of leverage.
Yeah, well, let's go with the girl's name just because I have a daughter. Like I would name her like Kelly Kapowski Williams, which is like a Saved by the Bell reference, which is a very popular show out here. Or I'm sure my wife would do like my wife is a martial artist, so she might name her like Ronda Rousey Williams or something like that. But yeah, so like, yeah, you have to think about that, and then as they grow up and they go to school, okay, now you got to be now you have to live up to that, or you have to know. It's crazy. I'm just trying to make sure that my daughter like she's already a little person, so she already has something that people can make fun of. I don't want to give them any more fuel. I don't want to be like, oh, and by the way, you could also do this too, you know?
Absolutely. But I mean, wouldn't it be awesome if we just had that leverage to kind of just change our name at different stages of our lives?
Oh, that's a good idea. Because yeah, there would be, you know, like you should have that option. Although, I mean, there's an old Dana Carvey joke that's so good. He talks about the singer Sting and how one day Sting just had to go to all his friends and go, "Hey, my name is Sting now." Like it used to be Gordon. You used to call me Gordon. Don't call me Gordon anymore. Sting. And like just the amount of balls, the amount of chutzpah that took to tell all your friends, no, call me Sting. Like that's just that's amazing. So you would have a lot of stories like that, and you would also just have a lot of boys named Batman.
You know, I had a friend in my fraternity. His name was Blaze McQuaid. So I can't imagine like a 40-year-old guy named like Blaze McQuaid, like Blaze.
Blaze McQuaid. Wow. I mean, that sounds like a hero from a Star Wars thing. Like, oh, you got to go see Blaze McQuaid to get that thing. Blaze McQuaid. Like, that's some stones to name your child Blaze. What if they're slow? Or you know, you open them up for all the pot jokes. You know, like, oh, I bet you like marijuana, Blaze. You know, like, oh god, it's just so. I mean, I guess, it's just so much pressure. And there's so many other ways that you can mess up your child's life that you at least want to get the name right. So it's like, all right, I got that one out of the way. So yeah, now I have a million other things to worry about.
Absolutely. So kind of like taking it back a little bit now, did you always have like comedy on the cards? Was comedy kind of always in the works for you? Kind of starting off?
It's weird. It was, but I didn't realize it. Like I was always funny, and so my parents are not dwarves like me. My parents are actually tall, and so my dad had a very sort of like mature response when he found out I was going to be a little person. Is that he was like, well, my kid's going to be made fun of a lot, so I'm going to make fun of him first. So like he would make fun of me as a child, but then tell me, okay, hit me back, insult me back, and we would write insults. So when I went to school, and a kid made fun of me, I had a comeback, ready to go. And I would get to the principal's office because I had a better insult.
That's great.
It was,
I love that.
yeah. So in that way, I was kind of training to be a comedian without even knowing it. And so I always loved comedy, always watched it, always admired it. But it's one of those jobs where you go like, how do you become a comedian? Like, I don't even know how you become a comedian at the time. I still don't really know. Like, I just kind of like, it's like being a professional sports coach. How do you do that? I guess your dad's got to be a coach, or you have to play the game or something like that. So I wasn't sure. And then I was 19 years old, Father's Day weekend. You guys may not know that weekend. That's like June like 20th or something. And I went to a stand-up comedy show, and the comedian on stage was making midget jokes, and half the audience was laughing, and the audience that was sitting by me was not laughing at all. They were just like, look at right here, look at right here, and the comedian stopped and goes, "What, is one of them here?" And I just raised my creepy little hand in the air, like, yeah. And he called me up on stage, and I went on stage, and he started asking me questions, and I answered the questions. I wasn't trying to be funny, but I answered the questions honestly, and my answers got laughs. And that was it. That was like, wow, that's the greatest feeling in the world. I'm just gonna start doing this. So started writing jokes, started going to open mic nights, and just going up on stage, however, whenever, in crowds that like, and that's the other thing is I can't complain about doing shows for smaller crowds right now, because when I started off in this business, I was doing open mic nights for, I mean, like no one, or just the other open mic comics, and
Yeah.
all you say when you're in that situation to yourself is, if only I could just be a touring headlining comedian, make some money, I'll be happy. So I'd be a real piece of shit if I got to this point and like, well, I'm not going to do shows now. There's a small audience. I don't know what small audience. I just like, no, it's you're still a comedian. It's a great job. It's a wonderful job. Your whole, not too many jobs out there are your whole life. Your whole purpose is to make other people happy. So yeah, I totally like it, and I'll keep doing it no matter how big or small the audiences are.
Absolutely. And one of the beautiful things, and I think that Louis C.K. actually said it to Mark Norman, but he was saying something along the lines of, I would kill to be in the position that you are in, because, people actually think that you're funny. It's not like a personality just going up on stage like Dave Chappelle, and people just laugh because you're speaking, because they know who you are. And they'll know that you actually are a funny person, which I think
Right.
is really great.
Yeah, there's a justice in stand up that if you're well known, you get a little bit of a boost in that people already know you're funny and they expect you to be funny, so they're more likely to laugh because you're like, well, this is a funny person. He's obviously, or she's obviously saying something funny. But if you're not there yet, then you have to prove yourself every night. There's good parts and bad parts. As a comic, I love going on stage and having the whole audience just being like, he's funny. But then there is that part where I miss going up at like the Comedy Store or other places in Los Angeles, to where not everyone in the audience knows me. They didn't buy a ticket to see me. I'm just part of the show. So I have to prove myself. They're sitting there like, yeah, I don't know, is this guy funny? So
Yeah.
it's great on both ends. At the bottom line, this job is awesome. Sure, there's things about it I would love to change. Would I like to make more money? Of course, we all would. But at the end of the day, this job is pretty great. I'm sitting in a hotel room. It's a nice hotel room. I get to watch Netflix all day, and then I get to go out, make people laugh, and get a check at the end of it, and some free mozzarella sticks. So, there definitely could be worse.
Absolutely. By the way, did you see this King of Staten Island movie?
I haven't seen it yet. I want to, because I know Pete Davidson's in it, Bill Burr is in it, some other comics are in it, and I want to. And before we all went locked down, I got to know Judd Apatow a little bit, because he was doing stand-up and going around all the LA clubs. So I'm anxious to see what it does for Pete Davidson's career. Will this be the thing that was like Amy Schumer's Trainwreck? Like how after that it just launched into the stratosphere? Yeah, I don't know. So it'll be very interesting. But I'm always shocked when people watch movies that star comedians and they're like, I can't believe that funny guy was dramatic. It's like, yeah, dramatic.
It's the launching pad. It's the launching pad for all of it, because that's what it is. Tragedy is like the actual basis for comedy. Like,
yeah. So we know how to be dramatic, and when we're on stage and we're talking for an hour, yeah, there's laughs, but then there's a lot of parts that we have to go down into that dramatic space to get the laugh to come out. And so yeah, I'm never surprised when a comic is able to go to that place or be dramatic or be heartfelt, or because we're doing all that on stage. We're like people don't realize how many characters we're actually playing on stage. Whether you're playing your family, your wife, your husband, your whatever. The guy you saw at the donut shop that said Australian, you're playing all these characters. So it's really fantastic, and I'm really anxious to see the movie. And a couple of my friends have already seen it, so I know I got to watch that. I just got done watching the Chappelle thing that he put up on YouTube.
So good, good.
And something that, even if it's not, because it's not like that laugh a minute thing that you're used to seeing from a Chappelle.
It's thoughtful.
But it's thoughtful and it's provoking, and it's something that anyone who hasn't lived that experience needs to hear, where they go, hopefully they will have some aha moments of like, oh, that's why you're angry. Like
Yeah.
that, why? Okay, that makes sense to me now. And Chappelle did it in the most brilliant way possible. I don't know if you guys saw that video of all the white celebrities that were in black and white, like
Oh my
saying,
gosh. Yeah, I saw it. I saw
oh,
it.
oh, oh, you condescending. Like, oh, it was that was
It's
so
like
awful.
cringe. It's so cringy.
For as awful as that was, Chappelle did what they all thought they could do and what they were trying to do. Chappelle went, hold on, let me do this. Boom, knocked it out. And
Drop them off.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, really great. And to the point where now, I mean, you can make jokes about it, but he came out with that so fast that you almost as a comic have to go, okay, well that topic is covered. Like I can't, like, I mean, you can go into maybe personal experience, but yeah, it's not, he did it. It's like, for me, it's after I watched Jim Jeffries' gun control bit where I was like, okay, that's that topic, you know, like he hit it from so many different angles and got it done. So it's like, okay, that's what that is. So yeah, and I'm really excited that he was able to get that out. And in the beginning, they show that there's social distancing and masks, so everyone, you know, no one's gonna get mad at him for doing that kind of thing. Like it was just awesome. I'm so proud at what comedy can accomplish and what comedy can do. And I'm proud that I don't put myself anywhere near Chappelle, but I'm proud that I'm in the same industry as someone like that, so that they can do that. And maybe one day I'll do my version of that. But yeah, it was such a cool thing to watch and very powerful.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the craziest things about it is that Candice Owens bit that he kind of did. Candice Owens actually tweeted afterwards and she was like, I was in a Chappelle special. And it's just like, you didn't get the point, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, sure, okay, like, yeah, you're in a Chappelle special, but Jeffrey Dahmer was in the news. You know, it's like that's not exactly why you want to be in the news. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, Harvey Weinstein, we all know who he is. It's like, yeah, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So stupid. It's amazing that, like, I thought the Don Lemon response, Don Lemon, who's a newsman out
I
here,
saw it.
yeah, his response was much better. His response
Yeah.
was, yeah, I did that, and it was nice to see. Like, I'm honored that Chappelle talked about me, but in the way he talked about me, it really opened my eyes in terms of what I was doing and he totally agreed with it. And it was like, that's how you fucking do it. That, like,
Yeah.
so respect to Don Lemon in that way for sure. It was just, yeah, it's like just the fact that Chappelle can completely obliterate you and your response is, I'm in a Chappelle thing. That just shows how
Just like how naive you are. Yeah.
yeah, how gone you truly are.
Absolutely. And then when it actually comes to your writing process with comedy, what's kind of involved in that?
For me, I get an idea in my head, I'll write it down, and then I have to go up on stage and just talk it out and figure out where the beats are. I'm jealous. I'm very jealous of comedians that can sit down and be like, I'm going to write a joke. Right now, I'm going to write a joke, and they write it, and then they go on stage, and it's great. And like, I'm so jealous of those comics, and in awe, really, that they're able to do that. I can't do that. I've tried to do that. The jokes that I write and then go on stage and say as I wrote them, not funny. They're just not, that rhythm can't translate for me in my head. But so I get an idea, I go up and I talk about it. Like right now, I've got some coronavirus jokes, and I go, but it's just my experience with it and what I saw, and I just have to talk about it. And thankfully, I've been doing this long enough now, 16 years, crazy, that I kind of know what my rhythm is. Like I know how it's weird. Bill Burr had a great quote about comedy where he said, the first 10 years of your career in stand-up, you are building your joke machine. So what you do is you build the joke machine. So after 10 years, you have the machine built to where you can drop in a topic and a Bill Burr joke comes out because you built that joke machine. So for me, I spent 10 plus years doing the Brad Williams joke machine. So I can drop in a topic like, hey, quarantine, and then a Brad Williams joke comes out that like, oh yeah, that's a Brad Williams joke. Like that's that perspective. So yeah, that's my writing process. But however people write, I'm not gonna be one of those guys that's like, there's only one way to write, you do it this way. However it works, as long as you're not taking jokes from other people that they wrote, then you're fine. Then whatever works for you, do it. If you improvise and it works, great. If you go on stage and talk it out, if you have little bullet points, if you're one of those meticulous writers that writes it down to the syllable, great. Whatever works for you. If you're a prop comic, awesome. I don't talk like whatever makes people happy. Even if it's a type of comedy that I don't necessarily like, but if other people like it, awesome. Who the fuck am I to say that no, you're not allowed to have joy from that? If it's giving you joy, it's fine.
So how far into your career would you say that you actually built that joke machine?
I'd say about 12 to 13 years, somewhere in there. For a while it wasn't but it takes a while, and it just takes reps. That's the beautiful part about stand-up comedy is there's no cheat sheet. There's no book you can read. There's no class you can take that makes you go, well, I took this class, so now I'm a comedian and I'm really good at it. Like, no, there's only one way to get better at stand-up comedy, and that's by doing stand-up comedy and doing it frequently. So, like, there was times when I was on the road, like 48 weeks at the 52 weeks, I was on the road doing, 8, 9, 12 shows a week of an hour. And just when you do it that often, you're getting those reps in. You're finding out these things that are funny, and it was great. It was that part really helped build the machine. Like the first part of your career is very slow as you're learning it, and you're learning what works for you and what works on stage. And then once you kind of get that, then everything speeds up. Like when I was younger, like 5, 6 years in, and comics were coming up with new hours of material every year, 2 years, I was like, how the hell? That's impossible. You can't do that. But then you start doing it more frequently. You get 12 years in, and you're doing 6 shows a week of an hour, and you go, oh yeah, you can do that. Like it's like 10. It's not even that. It's like 5 new minutes a month. If you break it down, 5 minutes a month. Yeah, I can write 5 new minutes every month. So that's what it is. You just kind of get those reps in, and you do it with a frequency, and then you get better. And it's not that it becomes. I mean, yeah, it becomes easier, but it just you're just more aware of what you can do with comedy. Comedy is never easy. It's just you become like, oh, that's how that works. And that's a cool part about comedy is like you hear these athletes, like you hear Tom Brady as he turns 40, he's like, I'm finally figuring out the game now. But now he only has like 2 years left. Like for a comic, it's fine. You're 20 years in, you figure out the game. Great, you can keep doing it at the highest level. Like, Don Rickles was doing it in his late 80s, 90s, something like that. Like, I look at that like, awesome. I can just keep doing this my whole life. I don't have to retire at age 36 when people go, well, he's getting a little old to do comedy now. Like, oh, you can keep doing it. I don't have to, like, if I blow out an ACL, it's not like I can't do comedy anymore. Like, it's great that I'm getting older and better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a craft. So, I mean, it just really just comes with experience. So, I mean, you just,
Yeah. It's like someone who's been making tables and chairs out of wood 20 years in is better at it than the person that's just starting out. And how do you get better?
Exactly.
You do it. So yeah, that's for anyone that always, you know, when they ask me like, what's the secret? You know, what's the thing? They always ask me that because they want me to say this one sentence that they go, oh, that's the thing. And it's this real easy, like they want an easy solution. It's like when someone loses a bunch of weight and someone asks them like, oh, how'd you lose the weight? You know how they lost the weight. Diet and exercise. You know that's what they did. You know they stopped drinking soda, or they stopped eating cake, or they stopped doing. But you don't want that answer. You want the answer of, I just took this pill and I ate ice cream for weeks. Like, they want that answer, but that's not going to be the answer. So in comedy, the same way. There is no one thing I could tell anyone, or any comic could tell anyone, that'll make them funny and good at comedy. You just have to put in the hours. You just have to do it.
Absolutely. And you know, the funny thing is, you always hear people speaking about how they got into like the Comedy Cellar, like that Esty stood at the back with their little fucking notebook, just like taking down notes. What is it like to kind of get into the Comedy Store? Because I mean, that's one of the most prestigious comedy clubs in the world. What was your process?
Yeah. First of all, very, very surprised and it's very cool to hear someone in South Africa know who Esty is and know the Comedy Cellar and know the Comedy Store and know all that. So first of all, that's awesome. So my path to the Comedy Store was a little different in that I was already a national touring headlining comedian, and I was passed at the other clubs in Los Angeles, but I just never was doing the Comedy Store because at the time, the Comedy Store was the worst club in the city. There was a time when they had this old manager, and he was horrible with it. Like it was after Mitzi Shore, who founded the Comedy Store. Then there was this area.
Pauly Shore's mother, correct?
Yes. Pauly Shore's mother, who was amazing at curating comedy. And then there was, once she got a little too old and a little too, like, she couldn't run it anymore, then there was an era that it was bad. That's all I'm going to say. It was bad. And then this new guy came in. His name is Adam Egget. And he completely revamped it and turned the Comedy Store into what it is now, along with comics coming back like Joe Rogan and stuff like that. So now I was at these other clubs and I wasn't in the Comedy Store. I was like, oh shit, I gotta go to the Comedy Store. And I saw Adam Egget and I go, hey man, I'm a national touring, like, had a couple specials, like, think I can start coming here? And he goes, no, you gotta go to open mic night on Mondays. So I had to,
oh wow,
I had to humble myself and say, sure, I've had a couple specials. I'm touring the country, but now I got to be an open micer. But this is where I want to be. So I kept showing up on Mondays, kept doing open mic night, kept putting in my time, and then I'll never forget it. It was at the Montreal Comedy Festival at the bar that's in the hotel where all the comics stay, and Adam Egget just sits down next to me and goes, hey man, just letting you know, we're passing you at the Comedy Store. And it was just like, fuck yes. It was, but I mean, brilliant. Yeah, was I bummed at first that they didn't just let me in? Yeah, but now when you work for something and you earn it and you don't get that free pass, you don't use the cheat code, it means so much to you. It means so much more to you. So I'm thrilled that and thankful that I had to go through that process, just like any other comic, and it felt great. And now I'm at Comedy Store. It's one of the best clubs in the country, and the Comedy Store is it's insane because from 9 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, you just see these killers all the way down. These people that can sell out stadiums and theaters and stuff like that. And then you'll see some comics that you've never heard of before, and they're not even headliners around the country, and they're killing it because that's just what the Comedy Store is. It's that, like, if I'm going on after Joey Diaz and Bobby Lee and Ali Wong and Eliza Schlesinger and Joe Rogan and Mark Maron, like, if I'm going on after these people, I better be funny because I don't want I don't want that bar to be so high, and then Brad comes on stage and like you don't want to be the one that loses the room. So yeah, it's just the most amazing place to work, and I can't wait for it to open up again. There's rumors of July, but I'm so looking forward to that opening back up again.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, the beauty about the American comedy scene is that you never know who's going to pop in, but especially like what you were saying, where you get this person that you don't necessarily know and they walk in and they just crush it. It is the best feeling.
Yeah, and it's the best feeling for the comic as well. And you get to discover. It's like it's like, I think there's that old story of like Kiss used to open up for Aerosmith, I think it was, and people would go to see Aerosmith, and then they'd see Kiss and be like, "What the?" Like they would just be blown away by it. So it's that discovery, and there are some brilliant young comics that are coming up at the Comedy Store that are starting to get some notoriety, but I hope they get more. You got your Fahim Anwar, really funny. Lara
I watched his YouTube special. I watched his YouTube. He was the one with the YouTube special. Great.
Yeah, so good. Lara Bites, Jessica Marie Singleton. There's just so many. I got her name wrong. Jessica Michelle Singleton. And there's so many people that are coming up that people may not have necessarily heard of that are just the future of comedy is doing just fine.
Absolutely. And then if you had to look back at like one craziest story that you've had on the road, what would that be?
Oh, geez. Crazy story on the road. There's been like, okay, this is like my life's, I could have been struck by lightning after this moment and I would have been fine. Like, I was doing a small theater in a place called Mill Valley, California. It's just north of San Francisco. And it's called the Throckmorton Theater. And there was a little comedy show there. It holds about 150, 175 people. And did the show, had a good set, felt good. I come off stage, and Robin Williams starts walking towards me. I had no idea he was there. Just starts walking towards me and walks up to me and goes, "Oh my God, Mr. Williams, you're like Prozac with a head." And that's just the coolest thing ever. That's just the coolest thing where, you know, and you find that out in comedy. And if you live in New York or LA or a big comedy city, once you get past that open mic level, you'll run into your heroes. You'll run into them. The community is not that large. Like, you'll run into people that are absolute legends, and you'll have moments like that. So yeah, Robin Williams called me Prozac with a head, and to this day, it's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to
me. And if you just had to look at it, what has a better scene? If you just had to compare it, LA or New York?
Oh, I haven't really been in the New York scene, so I can't really speak to it. I mean, LA's got the Comedy Store, which is obviously amazing, but New York still has that scene where you can go up, not only at the Comedy Cellar, but like all these different clubs. You can do 5, 6, 8 sets in a night. LA, you can't really do that unless you're like a big time star that can just walk in and they just put you on stage. So like, I've done, the most I ever did was 4 sets in a night in LA. And I was very proud of that. And there's quite a few comics do like two to three every night. And but yeah, so for that reason, I'd say New York has a better stand-up comedy scene, just from what I've heard and what I've experienced. But LA, it's not comparing the two for a comedy scene. It's like when people say like, "Oh, LeBron James is the second best basketball player of all time," and people get mad, and you go, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with being the second best at something all time. It's fine." So if people say like, "Oh, LA's like the second best comedy city," it's like, great, I'll take that. I'm really happy and thankful to live in the second best comedy city when some of my friends who are comedians live in Missoula, Montana. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I'd rather live in LA, and I'm very happy I live in LA and very thankful for that. But really, the comedy scenes in both cities, you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. And just to kind of wrap this whole thing up, let's say hypothetically you didn't become a comedian and you became a DJ. What would your DJ name be? And what would your first smash hit be?
Well, that's very easy because I actually was a DJ at one point.
Oh, wow.
When I was in high school, I would DJ the dances from the junior high, and it was just a way to make a couple of bucks and, you know, make some shekels. And so my DJ name was DJ Forefoot. That was my DJ name. So I think I'd go there, DJ Forefoot. And yeah, my hit song, I would have to do some sort of thing with the butt, just because dwarves have such a big butt and they could bounce it really good. So it'd have to be like the dwarf drop, and there'd be like a butt drop part of the song. It'd have to be that. That's what I would think would be my big hit song. But thankfully, I'm not a DJ. Thankfully, my DJ Forefoot days are long behind me. And man, yeah, that night I couldn't go to South Africa because what's that? DJ 1.5 meters? Like, it's not the same thing. Like, it
doesn't hold the same. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad I'm not a DJ anymore. Very thankful I'm a comic. And yeah, if I was a DJ, I wouldn't be on a podcast in South Africa. So I'm very happy for that.
Exactly. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. You're one of my favorite comics, so I'm so grateful that you came on our podcast.